Look at this bunch of green onions. When I first bought it, it was so green and so fragrant. But if you store it just a little bit the wrong way, then a few days later, when you open the refrigerator, the leaves are already wilted, some parts are yellow, some parts are slimy, and it feels such a waste. Many people think green onions spoil quickly and that this is normal. You use them for whatever meal you can, and whatever is left gets thrown away. But actually, that is not quite true. There is one very small thing that I also used to overlook. Not every part of a green onion should be stored in the same way. If we keep the whole bunch exactly as it is when we bought it and just push it into the refrigerator, the green leaves will wilt very quickly, while the root part ends up being wasted. But if we separate it properly, one small bunch of green onions can last much longer. One part can be used fresh, one part can be saved for cooking, and one part can even grow again. Today, just go slowly with me. We are going to handle this bunch of green onions from beginning to end, so that next time you buy green onions, you will not have to watch them spoil in the refrigerator and feel sorry anymore. First, when you bring green onions home, do not rush to put them straight into the refrigerator. Open the bunch first. Any leaves that are already yellow, bruised, soft, or have a strange smell should be thrown away. Whatever part is still green and still fragrant, keep it. Look at the root part. If the roots still have a lot of dirt on them, you can trim away the dirtiest part of the roots, but do not cut everything off. Try to keep the white base and a few healthy roots. Many people throw this part away, but actually this is a part that is really worth keeping. Now we wash the onions. When washing, be gentle, because green onion leaves are quite soft. The spaces between the leaves and the base often still hold dirt or dust, so wash that part a little more carefully. After washing, spread the onions out on a clean towel and gently pat them dry. This drying step is very important. If green onions are still wet and you put them straight into a container or bag, after just a few days they can easily become slimy. So just be patient for a little while, let them become really dry, and only then start storing them. Now, I will divide the bunch of green onions into two parts. The white root end with roots stays separate. The green top stays separate. I will handle the root part first, because this is the part that many people waste the most. Take the root end of the onions and leave a section of the white part above the roots. Then prepare a small cup or a low jar. Put a little clean water into it, only enough to cover the roots. Do not pour the water too high onto the onion stem, because if it sits soaking for too long, the stem becomes soft very easily and can develop a smell. Place the onion roots into the cup of water like this, then set it somewhere with light. It does not need strong sun, just a bright kitchen corner or near a window is enough. Every day or every other day, change the water once so the water always stays clean. After a few days, you will see new green leaves starting to grow from this root end. It feels very interesting, because normally we think this part can no longer be used, but with just a little water and light, it starts growing again. When the leaves grow longer, you can cut the new leaves to cook with. If you want the onions to stay healthier and last longer, you can plant this root part in a small pot of soil. If your home has a balcony, a window, or a small yard corner, this method is really worth trying. Now we go back to the green tops. This is the part that spoils the fastest, so I will divide it according to the family's needs. If you plan to use the onions in the next few days, the simplest way is to store them in a container lined with paper towel. After the green tops have dried well, you can cut them into segments or chop them small, depending on your cooking habits. If your family often makes soup, noodles, fried eggs, or porridge, chopping them ahead of time is very convenient. Prepare a clean, dry container. Line the bottom with a layer of paper towel. Put the green onions in, but do not press them down too tightly. Just let them stay a little loose. Then cover the top with another thin layer of paper towel, close the lid, and store it in the refrigerator. The paper towel will help absorb extra moisture. The green onions will not collect too much water, so they will be less likely to become slimy. Every time you cook, you only need to open the container, take out a little onion, and close it again right away. If after a few days you see that the paper towel has become damp, replace it with a new one. It is a very small thing, but it helps the onions last longer and still look clean and easy to use. This method works best for the onion you want to use soon. For example, today you cook soup, tomorrow you fry eggs, and the next day you cook noodles. You only need to open the container and take some out. Very neat and time-saving. But if you bought more green onions, or if you know for sure that you will not use them all in the next few days, then we move to the freezing method. With this method, the green onions must be really dry before putting them into the bag. If they are still wet, once frozen they will stick into one big lump, and each time you need some it will be very difficult to take out. Cut the onions small as usual, then spread them on a towel for a few more minutes so the extra moisture can evaporate. Where are you watching this video from? Please tell me the name of your country or city. I am very happy to read comments from everyone. After that, put the onions into a zip bag or freezer bag. But do not let the onions gather into one lump at the bottom of the bag. Spread them out as thinly as possible, gently press the air out, then seal the bag. Smooth it lightly so the bag of onions becomes one flat layer. Doing it this way, when you put it into the freezer, the onion bag will be very neat. Every time you need some, you only need to take it out, break off a small piece, and put it straight into the dish. No need to thaw. Frozen green onions will no longer be crisp like fresh onions, so I do not use them for salad or dishes that need fresh garnish. But for hot dishes, they are very convenient. For soup, broth, noodles, porridge, fried rice, fried eggs, you only need to drop them in and the onion fragrance is there right away. One more small tip is that if your family cooks often, divide them into several small bags. Each bag can be used for a short time, so you do not have to keep opening and closing one large bag too many times. That way, the onions also keep their fragrance better. And if there are still a lot of green onions left, or if you want to have a fragrant jar of seasoning to use gradually, then we make dried green onions. To make dried green onions, you still begin with onions that have been washed clean and dried very well. Then chop them small. Try to cut the pieces fairly evenly so that when drying, the onions dry more evenly. If using an air fryer, spread the onions into a thin layer in the tray. Do not put them too thickly, because some parts will dry first while other parts are still damp. Choose a low temperature, around 70 to 80 degrees Celsius if your air fryer can be adjusted to a low temperature. Dry them in short batches, and from time to time open it and stir gently. Green onions are very thin, so if the temperature is too high, they burn yellow easily and lose their fragrance. We do not need to do it quickly, we need to dry them slowly. When the onions are light, crisp, crumble lightly when pressed, and no longer feel damp, then they are ready. After the onions are dry, do not put them into a jar right away while they are still hot. Let them cool completely. The storage jar also has to be clean and completely dry. Put the onions into the jar, close the lid tightly, and keep it in a dry, airy place away from sunlight. If after a few days you see moisture inside the jar, or the onions have become soft again, that means the onions were not dry enough. At that point, you need to take them out and dry them again. You should not leave them like that because they spoil very easily. When using them, you only need to take a small pinch and sprinkle it into your dish. On busy days, having a jar of dried green onions ready in the kitchen is truly very convenient. No need to wash, no need to chop, but the food still gets a gentle onion fragrance. How do you usually store green onions? Have you ever kept the root end and let it grow again? If you have any better tip, please share it in the comments. Thank you for watching today's video. If you find this little tip helpful, do not forget to subscribe to Merry Home so that we can continue sharing more simple ways in the family kitchen. See you again in the next video.